What is up, YouTube? This is Juan, and I'm back with another CG commentary video for you guys. So this one is Aphrodite. This is my sixth creature on my this is my sixth character on this series in my YouTube. Okay, so this series yet again is a series in which I show you guys how I create my CG models. Okay, I'll be using Maya and ZBrush to create these models, to model and texture them, rig them in Maya and do all that fun stuff. Okay, so that's if you're new to these kinds of videos that I do. Okay, so this creature that you guys are about to watch me create in ZBrush in time lapse, will be my fourth creature for my demo reel. Okay, because as you all know, right now as I'm recording this, I am taking demo 2, okay, in the Art Institute of Los Angeles. So if you guys don't know what demo is, it's pretty much a portfolio class. Okay, all the best work or all the skills that you have learned over the 4 years in campus, you will put them to good use in this class, because this is a portfolio class. Everything you do has to be flawless. Okay, if they're not flawless, the teacher will heavily criticize you on that, and they will make you fix the changes that you need to fix, or else they will not pass you. Okay, so it's really not that bad for me, but for some people they complain a lot. But I don't know. I don't mind if teachers criticize my work. Criticism is always good. I mean, how often do I get constructive criticism? Like, seriously, not a lot, right? But anyways, we got sidetracked a bit there. Sorry about that. So yeah, let's get on to it. All right, now to start things off, of course, I always start off these videos with the inspiration and as well as the references that I'm going to use to bring this creature to life. Okay, but first thing is first. As you all know, the videos that I do here on YouTube, especially these videos are extremely long. Okay, so you guys aren't really obligated to watch them in full. Okay, for some of you who are impatient. Okay, you really don't have to watch all of this. Everything, if you guys want to skip through ahead, I always include a chapter skips menu in the description below. Okay, so just click on whatever area you want to see, like for example sculpting, texturing. You may want to see the finished character in the end, skip all this stuff, and you go ahead. I really don't have a problem with that. Alright, so the chapter skips as well as the creature symbolism and bio are always in the description of these videos. Alright, so let's get started. So again, first thing I want to talk about is the inspiration behind this creature. Okay, so before I start showing you guys the reference right here, I want to go over the inspiration behind this. So in terms of creatures, usually, I don't know, man, like I've noticed that I'm heavily obsessed with creatures that are female, and the reason why is because you can easily they're usually part of my thought process when I'm thinking about love. Okay, as you all know, as a normal human being living on this planet, I'm not the perfect person, obviously, so I do have some good and bad experiences with love. Okay, now the creatures that I will create usually in CG, they usually resemble the negative aspects of my ideology on love. Okay, Aphrodite is a great example of that. So as you all know, the name Aphrodite is actually named after, it's actually the name of the Greek goddess of love. Okay, so when you picture that in your head, you would think you would have like a beautiful woman, right, that's naked. Okay, well, for me, for the artist that I am, I like to reverse things. Okay, so Aphrodite, for this creature, instead of it being a beautiful woman, it's actually a nude female that has like a monstrous face and a monstrous body. Okay, so that's pretty much the direction I'm going in terms of these creatures. Okay, right now I'm still finding my style when I'm creating these organic creatures. It's a totally different style, of course, when I'm doing, things like, Transformers or robots and cyborgs. This is something that you would probably find something similar to when you compare my work to Silent Hill, because Silent Hill is one of my favorite video game universes out there. I love the creature design in Silent Hill, Dead Space as well, but mostly Silent Hill. I just like the twisted anatomy that the creature has, and that's the stuff that inspires and fuels my CG, organic creatures, such as Aphrodite, okay? So you guys will see what I mean once you see the finished creature at the end of the video, of course. So above all else, Aphrodite is inspired by love. It's inspired by my negative views on love. Now, I'm not always negative on love, okay? I'm just saying negativity is like the best source for, everything horror. Now, of course, I'm not going to go in depth right now with the symbolism behind this creature. I will actually go over that at the end of the video, okay? So I just want to tell you guys that this creature is inspired by my negative views on love, okay? Love and relationship. Alright, so now let's move on to the references. I always have references no matter what I do, especially for creatures, because I need to learn the anatomy, okay? And I need like a visual reference. This is the same when it goes to my masks, custom masks. This is why I require my my commissioner or whoever it is I'm going to work for to create their mask and bring it to life. This is why I require a drawing. All right, I need a drawing of their idea so I can bring it to life. All right. Same thing with the creature, especially for something like Aphrodite, which is in the shape of a spider. I would need like pictures of spiders, of course. So here's a picture of a spider. This is really unnecessary, like the organs. I'm not gonna sculpt the organs. The reason why I took this reference is because of the shape of the spider, okay? This is actually a weird shape because from what I remember, spiders have 3 parts. They have the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. I don't know why the head and the thorax are conjoined here. Unless if it's a different type of spider. I don't know. Well, that's what I learned in elementary, so I can't believe I still remember that. The thorax and the abdomen, okay? And not to mention, this is actually a good side view of a spider. And this is pretty much where I got the shape of Aphrodite, alright? So this reference is obviously good. So moving on to the next reference, here's a spider. A nice top-down view. This is actually making me squeal inside. I'm not a huge fan of spiders and snakes in real life, so okay, let's move on. I don't like that picture. But you guys get the point, right? It's a good picture because it has, well, first off, it has 4 legs, and it has the what do you call these? These aren't really the antenna, but it's another piece to the spider anatomy. So I know that the spider has 3 parts of its body, 8 legs, and then 2 extra front legs. I don't know what the real term for this part is. So I pretty much have a solid understanding of the spider at this point. So one thing I actually want to add to this creature at the last second, I remember when I was designing this, was this piece right here. You would know, if you guys don't know what this is a lanternfish. What it does is it lures smaller fish in the dark using that glowing lure on its head, and that's where it eats it up. If you guys are familiar with Finding Nemo, I think they had a lanternfish in that movie a long time ago. I'm not sure. I think it's in another movie, but I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if this is there's 2 different names for that fish. This one is a viper fish, but you guys get the point, right? So these 2 references are obviously different species, but the same attitude. Notice how their mouth is actually, you can tell that they're meant to eat smaller fish. Look how ferocious these fangs are. I actually took a piece of that, a piece of this fish, and applied it to the design of my creature. So not only will Aphrodite be a spider, female looking creature, it will also be a hybrid of this fish right here, okay? Now again, you're probably saying, well, why do you want this fish, to be in your creature? As you all know, the creatures that I do, every limb is symbolic of something, okay? Now again, this is love. I'm talking about love here. So what do you think it means when I have a glowing lure to my creature, and if you get too close, you get consumed? Okay, so again, I'm not going to talk about the symbolism right now, but hopefully some of you understand the direction that this creature is going in terms of love and relationship. Alright, so again, the symbolism is in the description of this video below, and I will end up talking about it at the end of the video, alright, where I show you the finished creature in Maya. So that's that. Here's another, I also took some fantasy pictures. So it's always good to have a balance of reference. So notice here, this is a real world reference. Okay, I'm using references of real animals, which is nice, right? Because nothing beats nature. Nothing is more real than nature. So you always need real references from real animals or people, okay? Another type of reference that I like to collect when I'm designing a creature of some sort, or a mask, is I like to collect various concept art of the type of creature that I want to do. So again, notice how some of these are from Silent Hill, like this creature right here. Notice how it has spider legs. Now again, this may not be a real reference because this obviously doesn't exist in nature, does it? But it has the same idea that I'm going for. So it's always nice to keep a couple of these fantasy references in hand. So here's another one with conjoined bodies. I don't know what this is. I can't remember what I had this for. Here's another one. I mean, look at this. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I like to put into creatures like Aphrodite. So that's why I collected them. So that's it for the references. Let me show you guys the base mesh next. Alright guys, so we are now here in Maya. This is one of the two main programs I use to model and texture my CG work. So you'll notice here's the base mesh of the creature. Actually, you know what? No, this is not the base mesh. This is more of the pieces. The actual base mesh I actually did in ZBrush. So I put all the legs and limbs together in ZBrush. Alright, you will actually see that in just a sec. So you're probably wondering, why are we here if this is not the base mesh? Well, due to the nature of this creature, I came up with a way to do things a lot more easier, okay? ZBrush may be a program that makes it easier for you to model and texture, but it can't do everything perfectly. Like, there's some things that I can do easily in Maya than I can do in ZBrush, and vice versa. Here's one of them. Notice here that I took my female model and I added a rough lure. So this is the same lure that you guys this is the same lure that you guys saw from the lantern fish a couple seconds ago. So I just pretty much conjoined it to her body, okay, as if it was part of her. So again, notice how rough this is. This is really rough. You'll also notice that I covered up her eyes, mainly because she doesn't have eyes in the first place. What else did I do? I also removed her nose. So again, this is all pretty rough, okay? The final creature will not have a nose and eyes, so you'll see that in a sec. Of course, there's the breast. Again, pretty rough. I'm actually thinking of redoing my female and male base meshes, mainly because, every creature and character I do, like, I improve a lot, actually. So I kind of want to go back and redo my base mesh, because my base mesh for the female and male are extremely important, because they're my templates for future characters, okay? But anyways, so you'll notice that I cut off the legs here from my female base mesh, obviously. Now, the reason why I cut this off is because there's a tool in ZBrush that allows you to weld separate pieces, such as this, into a unified mesh, okay? I believe it's the insert mesh brush. So you can actually create custom brushes and insert them into a model, and it will actually retopple it for you, which is extremely handy in ZBrush. Okay. You'll also notice here, this is the body of Aphrodite in rough form. It doesn't have the spider body and legs just yet, because again, I do that all in ZBrush. So this lure, I did this in Maya because you can easily do that here. Now here's a male face. Now I actually had this idea at the last second when I was designing this creature. I had this idea of merging or fusing male faces at the back part of Aphrodite's body, and I think it's a good way to tell a story to the creature, because to some extent it's like a creature that devours male souls, you know, like a succubi, you know, like a demon, female demon that takes the life of males, you know. So you haven't even seen the creature yet, like the finished creature, but I'm sure you guys are starting to get a solid foundation of the direction I want this creature to have. Okay, and again, I haven't even explained the symbolism to you, but this is, you know, inspired by love. You know, my dark negative, the negative aspects of love are in this creature. Okay, so just looking at the creature in the end, it will actually tell you a story if you study it. Okay, so the male faces being in the abdomen, it somewhat tells you that the creature is a taker of souls, in this case male souls. Okay, so same thing with this, similar to the leg. These two pieces, I'm actually going to use them as insert brushes in ZBrush, and then I'll pretty much merge them into one mesh, and I really don't have to fix any of the topology because ZBrush does that for you, which is really awesome. Okay, so hopefully you guys get a glimpse of that when I'm sculpting. Alright, and speaking of sculpting, let's get on with it. Enough with the base meshes, all this stuff. Let's get on to the fun part. Alright? Alright guys, so we're now in ZBrush. Okay, so this is the part where I'm making the base mesh of Aphrodite. So you'll notice, this is what I'm talking about. I'm inserting the legs as insert meshes, and look how it actually fixes the topology for you. So I can, you know, you can easily make creatures with a lot of limbs just by using this method. And you'll notice that the body of Aphrodite are 3 simple shapes, you know, spheres. So this is the part where I'm masking off the legs to properly position them. And there you go, you see that? See how it fixes it? And there's also the mechanism, the claw mechanism. I did that in Maya. So here we are in the first stage of CG modeling. This is Subdivision 1. We're not really adding in any detail right here. We're just fixing the structure of this creature. You know. Here I have to think about balance. Remember, this may not be a real spider, but all that weight is on this creature, so I will have to beef up the legs at one point. And you also notice right there that the jaw is missing. I had this great idea that to further emphasize that this creature is very carnivorous, a consumer of meat. I had this idea where what if I get rid of the lower jaw and make it so that the chest is the lower jaw, so that makes it even more terrifying. So that's pretty much what I had in mind. So here we are in the second subdivision already. Here I'm just sculpting the buttocks of the first piece right there, or the first 2 legs in front. So you'll notice at the back the legs are a bit deformed. I'm actually going to go over that later on. Also, there are no eyes. I think the fact that this creature has no eyes makes it blind. You know, because love is blind. You know, that kind of thing. So here I'm roughly adding the rib cage, making it even more deep. make her flimsy just a bit. Going over the breast, right here, the shape of everything. You can actually achieve all the details in this part. Usually the first 3 parts of subdivisions, like subdivision 1, 2, and 3, that's considered low poly sculpting, and you can actually you're pretty much building up the foundations and structure for your creature or character. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Try to get as much detail as you can with low poly. And for those of you who are new to this, yet again, if you guys don't know what I mean by low poly means a low number of polygons. Okay, what's a polygon? A polygon is if you look closely, see how it's all made of rectangles? That's a polygon. Okay, notice how there's not that many polygons, so as a result you can't really go in depth with the details just yet. We're just building the structure, refining what the silhouette of the creature. Notice here I'm sculpting the face, making the cheekbones a bit bigger. This is the part where I'm sculpting the inside of the mouth so that the lower jaw, also known as the chest, will look very ferocious in the end. And at the end, you're gonna see me add teeth as well. Here I'm just adding some fat. The point of these creatures is to make them look very fleshy. Okay, so you'll notice that there's a particular theme going on with these creatures, similar to Silent Hill. It's all just one big creature, one big flesh. So it's not just the details you have to worry about, it's also the anatomy. You know, one thing I learned from one of my teachers in Demo 2 is if you're going to do like stuff like this, she told me you have to think of the spinal cord. You know, this creature shares one spine, so you got to think in terms of anatomy. Since this creature has a lot of legs, what will the skeleton look like? And that, I believe, was my phone. Someone messaged me on Facebook. Wow, I hate interruptions like that. But yeah, speaking of that, just anatomy, you have to think of, even if it's a fantasy creature, you still have to think of the anatomy and how this is all going to work once it moves. So that was a really valuable tip from my teacher, and from now on, when I design creatures like this, I'm definitely going to keep a closer eye on what it is I'm doing. So there's the abdomen, nice and big. And it really does look like a spider, you know? And I literally just started with 3 circles. So notice how much detail you can go in. Notice how much details you can go in for your CG model in the early stages like this. So that's always a good, you know, habit to get into. Try to get as much detail as you can in the first stages. So here I'm fixing up the legs. Notice how flubber-like and rubber-like these legs are. It was a bit tricky doing this because, I mean, look at the position of the legs. They're not your ordinary legs. So I have to sculpt them in the position they are already in right now. So I'm just beefing up the legs right there. Later on, you'll actually see me fix the anatomy, mainly because my teacher told me to, at the last second. Okay, so bear with me on that. I like how the teachers I have now in Demo 2, they really go hard on you. You know, like if you want to be like a, I don't know, character modeler, they will go hard on your anatomy. So just be prepared for that. I like criticism like that. I don't often get criticism like that online, so that's why I cherish the criticism I get through my education, you know, in campus. And it's cool because they actually know what they're talking about. They're not like some troll in YouTube or Facebook or something. They know what's gonna be better for your demo reel. So I like that they give you criticism like that. Oh yeah, for demo reel, I'm going for a CG generalist, guys. So if you guys don't know what that is, it's pretty much a generalist for CG. I'm pretty much specializing on modeling and texturing, rigging, lighting, and compositing. I'm excluding animation because, you know, I'm not really an animator. That's not really my thing. But you will see my characters animated in my demo reel, which I will actually upload once I'm done with college, which will be around September. All right. So here I'm just hiding the other legs so I won't get distracted. Same process with the other legs. I'm just, you know, making this beefy. And another thing that my teacher told me was that you gotta think, since this is a spider, look at the legs of a spider. Their skeleton is actually on the outside. So she said something like that, how I have to think of exoskeleton and endoskeleton. Obviously, as human beings, our skeleton is obviously inside our flesh. So that's why you don't really see the bones, you know, and the joints and stuff. So, you know, it's like small things like that. I love criticism like that because it really makes me learn about creature design in terms of anatomy. You know, anatomy is more than just learning your proportions. It's actually thinking about how the character and creature will walk, you know, how it will move. So it's small things like that you have to realize, you have to take into consideration when designing these things. So you'll notice that I actually added detail right here on the underside as well. So right now it's a good rough out for the leg. So now we have moved on to Subdivision 3, ladies and gentlemen. So here we can actually get a bit more detail than before. Here I'm sculpting the right now I still don't know yet what I don't know, I still don't know the look that I want for the face. So right now I'm just experimenting with detail, adding, you know, layers and layers. Here I'm sculpting the lips. This is why I love ZBrush. You can literally, like, you can easily use it for concepting, you know. And if you make a mistake, what do you know? Control Z, undo. So ZBrush is a really good program to expand your creativity, because what I'm doing here, this is something I don't think I can do in clay. So I can actually go beyond what I know with clay in CG. This is why I prefer doing full-on characters in CG rather than in clay, because when I do a creature, for instance, in clay, what can you do with it? You know, just let it stand there. At least here in CG, I can put this in, you know, in animation. You know, I can send this off to like a video game company or some sort, or a visual effects company, and they can put it into a video game or a movie. You know, it's just an example, you know. Here I'm going over the breasts. You guys will, when you guys are doing females, you will be surprised on how difficult it is to actually make a female, because one wrong form in a female body, it actually makes it look really ugly and manly. It makes it look fugly. So you have to know your stuff when doing female. And right now I'm still learning, you know. I know what makes a female body, but I still need more practice. I honestly have a good foundation of anatomy right now, but above all else, I still need practice. So practice, know your mistakes, you know. Here I'm making the hands more bony, like more, you can actually see the muscles that control the hands, or I'm sorry, the fingers. I honestly don't know what they're called. And then you got to keep in mind the parts that make the arm an arm. So for the upper arm, not the forearm, but the one, on top of that the upper arm is actually made up of 3 muscles. Okay, you got the biceps, triceps, and the shoulder muscles, the deltoids. So those 3 have to be prominent. It can't look like a sausage. That's actually one of the criticisms I got for this creature, as well as Magdalene, when I showed it to my Demo 2 teacher. He said that, since I'm going to be a modeler one day, I can't have anything look like a sausage. So what he means by that is, if you look closely at the limbs, if it's just a cylinder that has no definition in it, that has no muscular definition, it doesn't actually look, it's not going to look right. So I have to have some sort of definition. And how do you get definition? You have to know your anatomy. Like I said, the upper arm is made up of 3 muscles. Okay, triceps, biceps, and deltoids. So those 3 things have to be in there. Even if your character is not meant to look strong, you still have to actually see them. So here I'm sculpting the underside. This was actually pretty fun because it can be anything. Actually, later on you'll see me sculpt a visual pattern underneath. So right now I have a good starting point on that. As for the abdomen, since it's such a big structure, later on you will see me put the faces in as well. I believe I forgot to do that. That's why you don't really see it here at the moment. So right now I'm just sculpting some wrinkles. I don't know, those aren't wrinkles. They're like ridges for the spider. So notice how it's starting to shape up. This is, again, I'm sure some of you have seen this over and over, like my videos, CG videos. This is pretty much the process of modeling, in ZBrush at least. Start off small, low poly, and then work your way up to Subdivision 7. I unfortunately cannot go up to the higher subdivisions to add more detail to my creatures, my characters, mainly because of ZBrush itself. ZBrush is a 32-bit program. I don't know why they haven't made it a 64-bit program yet. As a result, since ZBrush is a 32-bit program, it easily crashes on me. I have 16 gigs on my laptop right now, and I have a really good processor. But it still crashes no matter what. If I go over, I think, 25 million polygons, which is already a lot, but sometimes I just want to go over. It just crashes on me, unfortunately. So hopefully in the next update or in the future update, they make ZBrush support more than 4 gigs of RAM. So hopefully that happens. You also notice that the front legs are actually showing off the vagina. So, do you guys get what I'm saying in terms of story? I haven't revealed to you guys the symbolism for this creature just yet, but from the looks of this creature, you kind of know what this creature is capable of doing, right? Seduction, lies. The front legs are open like that for a reason, not because to make it look rude or to make fun of females, or it's supposed to give you the feeling of this creature is gonna seduce you into consuming you. So that's pretty much how you can tell that's pretty much how you tell stories, through limbs. So, and I would really love to improve that skill of storytelling in the future. And also, in terms speaking of storytelling, you also notice the claws. Those claws are there for a reason. They're not there to make the creature look cool. They're there to help the creature devour its victims if they get too close. So not only this creature has a lure to lure its victims in, it also has the vagina as well. So it's a really interesting creatures similar to Magdalene. So here I think we're on Subdivision 4. Am I right? 1, 2, yeah, we're in 4. So now you can actually you can obviously start to you can't really see the distinction between the polygons now, except for some areas. But now we can get really detailed with the sculpture. So here we're just going over the stuff we already did before. The importance of sculpting in low poly is so that you have a good foundation of detail. So notice all the things I sculpted in the earlier subdivisions are still there. They're just smoothened out and you have to re-add the details back in. So you'll get used to it. So if you guys are new in ZBrush or 3D modeling, it's a bit of a hassle actually at first, but you'll get used to it. So here I finally came up with a face. So again, she has no eyes, so I have to figure out a way to make it look like she's blind. And it's actually pretty cool because now that I realized creatures such as this, as well as Magdalene, they're like the symbolism for lust, you know? Notice here that the only thing that makes a guy want to get near this creature is the open vagina, as well as the breasts. And that's when this creature will strike and consume you. And it's cool because it has no face, so you're not really in it for the beauty. You're in for the lust, you know, the physical attraction of this creature. And I think Aphrodite is the perfect name for that. So this is a very monstrous creature. When I'm doing creatures like this with multiple limbs, like I always try to go beyond what I know. I mean, come on, human legs as spider legs, oh, that's creepy. Imagine seeing this in real life. What would you do? Okay, so now I think we're on okay, wait, yeah, here's the part where I inserted the male faces. I did that in an instant, so I don't know if you guys saw that, but if you look closely, look at the topology, it actually looks good. It flows well with the abdomen. So again, this is insert mesh brush. So here I'm just adjusting the faces so that they don't look repetitive. And later on, you would actually see me move the faces around in the end, so they don't all look the same, you know. Sculpting some fat right there. So in other words, it's always good to like create as much detail as you can with every subdivision layer. This is why texturing, you don't do texturing till like what, Subdivision 7, the last one, because texturing requires extreme amounts of polygon, you know. So I learned through a tutorial video in Digital Tutors, there's actually 3 types of detail, okay? 3 types of details, or not really detail, but the 3 layers of sculpture is your foundation, your structure, which is, you know, your basic anatomy, proportion, and then the secondary type of, you know, structuring layer, I guess, is your fat, your wrinkles. What I'm doing now is secondary. As you all know, as you can tell, I already have the anatomy, the proportion correct, at least for the limbs at least. The overall creature, I have all that done. Now I'm going over the secondary details, which is pretty much, you know, again, like I said, the fat, the wrinkles, you know. The tertiary details are not there just yet. The tertiary details, you know, like warts, wrinkles, like I said, skin pores, that's tertiary details. You don't do that till the very end. So just adding more detail in the abdomen right now. Make it look like one big flesh sack. So here's the part where I'm adding where I'm using the Damien standard brush, and I'm pretty much just carving in to the details of this creature. This is actually a really important brush, because if you don't use this brush, it doesn't actually, your sculpture doesn't really look right, in my opinion. So Damien standard really adds more details. And again, it's called the Damien standard brush. It pretty much just carves in to your sculpture. This is actually good for, you know, doing eyelids and whatnot. So I'm just finishing up with the Damien standard brush. I think I actually end up using it as well at the end, but I think we're in subdivision I lost track. I think we're in subdivision 5 or 6 right now. I can tell. I'm loving how the hands look. From a distance you can actually see, you know, the details, which is good. To notice the legs, you can actually see the kneecap. So, you know, you gotta make the bones prominent. You have to make it, like the elbows right there, you see how you can actually see it. It's not just a clump of clay. So it's just small things like that that you have to get in the habit of doing when sculpting anatomy. Here I'm adding details to the lure, like that spinal cord right there that goes up to the lure. So again, I think I'm not done yet with this Damien standard. I'm just adding, you know, I'm carving into the sculpture, making it look good. Yeah, here's the part where I'm making my own pattern underneath. Here I minimize the Damien standard. I'm going over the same details again, but I'm adding, like, you know, I'm adding secondary details on detail, if that makes sense. So it's always good to layer your details, actually. There's a whole system to it. And now I think we're in the final subdivision. Yep, this is the final one. So we're in subdivision 7. I believe I'm texturing right now, I'm not sure. Oh wait, no. Now I'm just going over the shapes one final time. Here I'm adding some eyelids. I pretty much welded the mouth right here, because I don't want all the faces to have, you know, mouths, so I made it look like that the mouth has been sucked in, I guess, to the flesh. So adding more details. So you can see what I'm talking about. Add as much detail as you can, and at the end, it's all pretty breezy. It's all downhill at the end, because at the end, I mean, anyone can add pores to a sculpture. That's not hard. It really isn't. So here I'm going over the mouth even more. I'm adding the gums. Later on, you guys are actually gonna see me sculpt the fangs, which is awesome. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure if I even recorded that. We'll see. So here I'm adding the hole. So that's actually important, because in close-up shots of this creature, it may go near the mouth, so you still have to, sculpt the esophagus, I guess. There needs to be a hole in the mouth. It can't just be, flat and solid. This is one detailed creature. So, take the time and, just detail your model. It's just, try not to rush it. Okay, I don't know what brush that is. I can't remember. So notice how I'm filling up every single area with detail. I don't want nothing to look, bland. Except for the human legs. I want the human legs to be nice and silky and smooth. I don't want them to have, too much stuff going on in them. And there you go. So now I think we're about to texture it. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. Okay. Yep, this is the part where I created my own alphas in ZBrush. So I created warts, as you can see. I created veins. Notice how I'm populating everything with warts. You can't really see right now because the camera's going too fast, but notice all the warts. But yeah, that's that. It went by fast, but here's the fangs. All you really need to do is model just one fang and duplicate it multiple times. So here I'm using a thing called Dynamesh. It really makes it feel like you're sculpting clay. It retopos it for you, so it fixes the topology. It is possible to create a whole creature with limbs with just a ball of clay using Dynamesh. So it's a really useful tool. Here, I'm just adding color right here. You also notice, if you look closely, that it has like this type of a texture in which it looks like it's carved. So I used a flatten brush for that. So here you will see me position the teeth, and that went by too fast. So here I'm sculpting I'm working on the wiring, the contraption. So what that is right there, the wiring, if you guys want to know how I did that, it's pretty much just a coil that I created in Maya, and redid it in ZBrush. So there it is. Notice here that I'm adding some rust in the mechanical pieces. You guys may have to repeat that whole entire thing because that went by too fast. So good thing I have some chapter skips. So now I'm just texturing, adding some real human textures to this creature. So you'll notice the specks right there. This is actually a real human skin that I'm applying to this creature. Here I'm adding the makeup. Notice how it's like bright pink. Adding some makeup right there. Making some areas of the skin pale. So it's just breaking up the skin. You see how I'm learning both matte and masks and CG. No matter what I do, if I'm creating a mask or a character in CG, I'm still learning sculpting and painting. So all these details that you guys are seeing here, these are valuable this is valuable experience when I'm doing stuff in clay as well, and vice versa. So just going over the underside right here. And above all, this creature is looking badass. Man. So just going over the small crevices with a darker color. That's pretty much how I do it. That's just my workflow. Notice how the details are starting to pop out because I'm using a much more darker red. Or light red, I guess. It's just a way to break up the skin. And there you go, look at that. Later on, you will actually see me paint the warts. Now, you're probably wondering how the hell I painted every single wart in this creature. There's actually a way. What I did was I masked the cavity. The cavity is pretty much the crevices. So once I did that, I inversed it so that it will actually only capture the warts. You'll actually see that in a couple seconds, but that's pretty much how I painted every single wart. So that saved me a lot of time. This is looking great. I would love to get this 3D printed. I don't know about you guys. I don't know anything about 3D printing. All I know is that's awesome. So again, see, I'm going over the crevices with a dark color. It makes the details pop out. See that? Here I actually added real human faces to on the back. If you guys saw a glimpse of it, I actually took a real picture of a human face and applied it on there. The possibilities are endless in CG. I don't know about you guys. This is why I love art. You can do so much more. And here's the part where I paint the warts. So you don't actually see it, but all the warts are actually... Oh, actually, no, never mind. I'm actually painting the underside of the warts, like the patches. So I'm giving them a slightly bloody color. Later on, I'm actually going to go over it with a lighter tone. Hopefully you guys see that. So things go a bit fast here, so... If any of you want to if any of you want to go back and see something, just go back to, just go back and skip. Go in the descriptions and rewatch it. Just click the time, and it will actually take you back to the area in which you want to see. So here's what I'm talking about: masking out the warts so that I can actually paint them as one. See that? See how all the warts just turned orange? Now I'm going. I think I'm going over the warts with yellow. Yeah. So I just masked out the cavity. See the dark areas in the model? That's the mask. So if I get rid of that, this creature will look beautiful. So same thing with the details I have in the stomach. This is actually a really useful tool. I'm gonna use this in the future. Mask by cavity. Look how much detail you can achieve. And there you go, there's the finished warts. So now I'm just adding some rust color to the mechanism. Claw mechanism. And there, I believe I'm done with texturing right here. Look at that. This looks so beautiful. This is a really diseased looking creature, but at the same time seductive. And now this is the part where I fixed the anatomy. This was around the same week in which my teacher told me, Juan, you need to fix your anatomy. This doesn't look good. Okay? So I redid the anatomy. Notice how I'm just adding more structure to the biceps Not the deltoids, and then the biceps, and then the triceps. So see how I'm fixing this. I'm just building up the forms. Remember, I don't want her to be buff. That's not the point of this creature. So I ended up smoothing the details in anyways, but the point of this is to make the muscles more prominent so that you can see it more. See that? So notice how I'm at a lower subdivision right now. When you guys are fixing structure, when you have all those details, it's always good to move back down to the lower subdivisions, because with the lower subdivisions you have low polys, and with low polys they're easier to manage. Okay, so also in the beginning you actually saw me add more gravity to the breasts. That's actually one of the criticisms I got when I'm doing the breasts here. Like at first they were like puffed up, which isn't really how breasts are supposed to be. There's gravity to the breasts, so I actually ended up smoothing it down in the upper area. So here I'm making the elbows more sharper, and then adding the muscles that surround the elbows. So notice how the color information is still there in the model. It hasn't been touched. Because right now I'm not tampering with the color, I'm just tampering with the model itself. So here, what am I doing here? I'm going over the legs, adding more muscle, making the muscles more structured, instead of it looking just a flat sausage. I want to remember that analogy from now on, from my teacher. If it looks like a sausage, it's not a real limb. So, as well as the fingers as well. He also commented on my fingers, so I redid the fingers as well. And remember, it's not just for this creature. He also wanted me to redo the anatomy in my other creature, my human centipede inspired creature. You know? Magdalene. So I'm going over the gastrocnemius right here, also known as the calf. I'm also adding a little bit of a curvature to the shins. Adding the knee, making it pop out more. So it's just the same process. It's just that I have to redo it multiple times because of the limbs. So, you know, that's something I have to get used to when doing creatures like this. So I'm just adding more meat to the legs, even the joints right there. Do you guys see the joints? I ended up adding just a tiny bit of flesh right there, because right now it looks a bit too, you know, flimsy. It doesn't look like it can support all that weight from the body of the spider, so I have to beef it up just a bit, as seen right there. So hopefully you guys get some tidbits on these videos that I'm doing right now, these CG commentary videos. Mainly because, you know, I'm just telling you guys through experience, based on experience, on what I learned. So, and hopefully that can help you. Even if you guys are not into this kind of stuff, you know, the CG, I think it's still awesome to learn some tidbits on designing. Whether practical or digital, it doesn't matter. We're almost done with this refinement stage. I'm just glad that the whole texturing is done. You know, the adding color. I think that alone took a long time. It took some time, but I'm glad it's all done. Every process that you guys been seeing all this time, these all take, you know, extraordinary amounts of patience. You know. So here I'm just fixing the calf. Again, making it more beefy, making it pop out just a tiny bit more. And there we have it. It's getting there. The back leg is actually a bit weird, mainly because I think it's the longest leg of the creature. So I kind of have to break the rules just a tiny bit for anatomy and proportion for the sake of this creature. And there we have it, guys. And you're about to see this creature in its finished form, all ready to go for Maya rendering. Alright. Alright, so now we are nearing the end of this video. This is usually the part where I show you guys the finished creature all rendered out in Turntables. So here's Maya. I'm using Mental Ray. Here's just a simple turntable. Here's what it looks like when it's all textured with materials. You'll notice that it has a flesh look to it. I finally figured out the values for getting it to look like human flesh using Fast Skin Maya, I believe. It's a subset for scattering material. You'll also notice the type of metal that I was aiming for the contraption. It looks a bit too bright right at the moment, mainly because of the lighting that I used in Maya, but it's not actually that bright. It's just the environment. But here's the ambient occlusion. Notice all the details are all there. The details that I did on ZBrush are all there. But keep in mind, the model that you guys are seeing right now, this is the one without the anatomy tweaks. So this is actually a pretty old turntable. This was before when I got criticized by the anatomy, so bear with me. So here's the here's another rendered still, here's another rendered set for this creature. Again, this is in Mental Ray and Maya. Notice how beautiful it looks. This is really awesome. Here's the ambient occlusion. Notice all the details are preserved. This is very ferocious. I just love with the head portion. So here I actually played around with the lights in Maya and I created some stylized rendering. Notice how the lure is glowing right here. I'm actually going to show you guys how I did that later on in the video. Here are the shots, or here are the renders in Keyshot using HDR's environments. So this is pretty much what it looks like if it was, in a film or an animation of some sort. Above all, this looks great. I don't know about you guys. One thing, I don't know. I mean, I'm really proud of this. This is my most detailed creature as of yet. I mean, can you tell from all the details right there? I just like the concept behind this creature, I think. And I love the lighting effect I did here. Like, this is simple. All you need is a spotlight. And then you can just mess around with it. And the trick to getting a good render for these things in CG is getting the materials to look right. Okay. What else? Like you have to keep in mind, like if you're using skin, how much light is going through the skin, how much is it giving off, you know, like, as well as the reflection. For metals, you have to realize there's a thing called Fresnel, which is how much reflection you see on that metal when you look at it in a certain angle. So these are small things that you need to, you know, take into consideration when doing something like this. Oh yeah, this is all rigged, by the way. Notice how this, you see how it's posed right there? That wouldn't be possible if it wasn't rigged, so it's rigged. And I will show you guys the rig in just a couple of seconds. So once again, here are the finished renders. This is in Keyshot. This is not Mental Ray. The previous ones are in Mental Ray though. Alright guys, so we are in the final we're in the final area of this video. So with videos like mine, or with videos like these I do, CG videos, usually the end is the part where I talk about the bio or the symbolism of the creature, as well as showing out the finished creature, like the rig. Okay, so we are back here in Maya. This is my main 3D modeling program other than ZBrush, as you can probably notice right here. What you're seeing right now, this isn't the final quality of the creature, okay? I hate it when people think that the creature is in red, you know? The reason why it's red, because that's the default color of the material I'm using. Alright, so don't get confused with that. Like if I render this out right now, it's not going to be red. You know, it's going to be the same texture that I added in ZBrush. You know, like you guys saw the Mental Ray renders like a couple seconds ago, right? That's pretty much what it's going to look like. So don't think that this creature is unfinished when it actually is finished right now. Okay? But yeah, here's the finished rig. The reason, okay, there's some new things in this rig that I haven't actually did on previous rigs, and that is an IK/FK control. If I click on the arm right here, or the hand, if you guys look here on the right side, see how it says IK/FK? I can turn that on or off. Now check this out. This is pretty much IK right here. It's in IK mode right now. Now if you guys don't remember what IK is, I believe I explained this on the previous CG video I did here on my YouTube. IK stands for inverse kinetics, okay? This is pretty much what IK does. See this? You see how the whole entire arm, even the elbows are moving with this one control. Okay, in other words, IK is a really efficient controller. You really don't have to animate anything else other than this circle, you know, this control. So that's IK. Okay, so hopefully you guys understood that. Now here's FK. Turn that on. Is it on? -1. Oh, okay, it's 10. I thought it was 1. Anyways, here's FK. So FK is forward kinetics. Unlike inverse kinetics, you actually have to animate every limb. Okay, so notice how I can't move it anymore. Well, I can still move it, but why is it like that? Oh yeah. Never mind. So notice how I can't really move it like I can when it was in inverse kinetics mode. Notice that I actually have to rotate the limbs manually. Why is it not? What? Okay, something's wrong. I could have sworn I did this right when I first saved it. Why is it doing that? Oh. Hold on a sec. Okay, well, I'm not gonna fix it. I'm not gonna fix it here, but it should have worked. I don't know why this didn't work. That's weird. It shouldn't deform like that. But you guys get the point, right? I actually have to move the limbs manually if I want this to do what it does. But that's FK. So hopefully you guys understood that. Hopefully I messed up that demonstration big time, but hopefully you guys get the point of FK and IK. So enough of that. This is pretty much the first creature that features an FK and IK control. The reason why an FK and IK control is important is because what if I just want to move the forearm without moving the upper arm? You know, like this part. I can't really rely on inverse kinetics because guess what? The whole thing moves. So I have to switch back to FK and just move it manually. So that's the flexibility you have with that. What else? You'll notice that each and every foot has the standard foot roll, as you can see right here. Look how awesome that is. So if the creature is about to jump or something, you know, this is like the perfect position. So every leg has this. So you notice how you can move it. Here's the control for the abdomen. So if you want to bounce, here it is. Same thing, but for the rest. Oops. See how fun it is to animate? Like, I'm not an animator, but this is really fun just messing around with. Let me check this out. Alright, so let's turn these back down to 0. Here's the center mass control. Center of gravity. These circles right here control the aim for the knee. See that? I also have the standard controls for the fingers, so it's pretty simple. Open, close, open, close. Okay. You also have the lure right here, so this is what I was talking about earlier. Let's take a look inside. Notice how there's a light right there? That's what's making this glow, okay? And you'll actually notice that if I click here for the controller, I can adjust the intensity of that lure. So I made a control for that. I also made a control for the direction that this thing wants to swing. So if you want to animate this, like swinging, you can do that. Horizontal, so if you want to sway horizontally, you can do that as well. So I made this through a thing called spline IK. So it's a different type of IK. It's not how you would use it with the arms, but it's meant for, like, you know, stuff like this. Like if you model a snake, I think it's a bit smart to use a spline IK for it to move. What else do I have? I have this. This is how you control this monstrous creature when chomping down. See that? See how creepy that is? Like she doesn't have a lower jaw. Her jaw is literally her chest. So it makes it even more terrifying. See that? You can also rotate it the other way, of course. See? I was thinking of adding a tongue for this creature actually, but I realized it's going to defeat the purpose of the whole mouth, so I didn't do that. What else? Also, did I show you guys this on a previous character? I'm not really sure. But here's also the standard clavicle control. This is something I need for the rest of my creatures and characters from now on. This adds a bit more flexibility to the creature, because what if this creature wants to reach out and grab something, right? Like something like this. Like, how are you going to, like, this is not how it's supposed to look like when you're grabbing something in real life. Your clavicles actually have to move with you. So notice how this is going to move. See how this looks more natural than just sitting like this. Like, you actually have to stretch the clavicle just a tiny bit. Okay, and of course rotate that. So that's the standard clavicle control. You also have the controls for the claw machine. Okay. I actually used a set, what do you call this? Set driven key. So that's pretty much. So you pretty much just have to animate the numerical value, the numerical values if you want this to look right. So notice how I can't really rotate it because I blocked that connection off. Same thing with here. So it depends on the numerical value here. See if you want to properly control it. So I think that's it for the controls. So let's actually talk about the nature of this creature. So again, now let's actually talk about the symbolism. Okay, the symbolism for this creature is based on my negative ideologies on love. Now I'm not always negative in terms of love. It's just that when you look at the dark side of love, you actually get the best ideas for creatures such as this. Okay, then the main idea for Aphrodite is that this creature is all about seduction and lying. Okay, there are people that you will meet in life that will only use you first to a certain degree, and then they will leave you. They will leave you consumed. Okay. So I think this creature illustrates the idea a lot, mainly because I mean look at this. Here, let's get rid of the controls so you guys can see what I'm talking about. There, okay. If you look at this creature closely, you'll notice that this creature is seducing you to, you know, to sexual pleasure. That's why the two legs are open like that, and you can see the vagina real clearly. Okay. So this creature is all about lying and seduction. And what do you know? When you get close to this creature, she will actually consume you with her claws. Okay, like a praying mantis. Also, she will eat you, and then you'll be nothing but part of her lunch or dinner or breakfast. So here are the male faces right here. So do you guys get how that works? Like, this creature is supposed to provoke sexuality and lust. Okay, love, fake love is about lust. You're only in it for the physical pleasure, and that's what this creature illustrates. You know, there are some people out there that are only designed for seduction and pleasure, and those are usually the people that you would really want to stay away from. Okay, because they do nothing but lie, and when you get too close to them, they leave you, or they consume you. You know, so hopefully you guys get the idea of this creature. It's a really simple symbolism actually, but you can actually go more in depth on it. But that's up to you, of course. But that's my interpretation of it, of this creature that I designed right here. So I think that's it, guys. So this is my 6th creature or character that I've created. Can't wait to create more stuff like this. I don't really consider this inspired by Silent Hill, mainly because it's not inspired by a specific creature in Silent Hill, but it is borrowing the aesthetic of Silent Hill. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Please support me by liking my fan page on my Facebook. That'll be facebook.com/Juan Caparas. Please like that fan page. I'm really happy when someone likes my fan page. Please follow me on Twitter. Please follow me on Twitter as well to get exclusive updates on my art 24/7. That'll be twitter.com/evilstyle13. And if you guys haven't checked it out already, please check out my website. You will find all my art there that I've done over the years. Okay, so that'll be www.juancaparas.com. And please don't forget to like and comment on this video if you have enjoyed it, and share this to your fellow CG artists. You know, they might like what I do here and they might learn something new. Okay, and that'll be it, guys. Thank you all for the support for this series that I have on YouTube. I really can't wait to start doing this in real life, like, you know, work out there in the industries creating creatures like this, lighting them and compositing them into a live action scene. Okay, so that's pretty much who I am as a CG artist. I'm a CG journalist going for visual effects. Alright, and this is Aphrodite yet again. Please show your support, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching.